Putting staples in the bottom of the aluminum sheeting to keep out critters.
Why do we need to keep out critters? What's going in here?
Hopefully chickens and bunnies, and then just chickens because the bunny hutch will be separate. We're going to put the sheeting behind that, and that'll close that off. And then at the top we'll put in the grid work. Well, this whole thing is all Amish wood, which is really nicely done. They did a great job, but unfortunately the bottom rotted. So we did the studs again, and what we'll do is after winter, we'll take from the outside, we'll take the board and batten off because it's still really good shape except for the bottom. We'll cut it short, and then we'll put a new one across the bottom and the top, paint it barn red.
What's going on over here? All this stuff.
And this is all the sheeting for the inside of here.
So that's going to be the new walls.
After we get up the aluminum sheeting and all the other framing.
So now what's next?
Wall.
Alright, and you have to build that new wall to cover
build a
that.
new wall there because that is just a piece of flimsy plywood. Well, not even plywood.
What's going on there?
Particle board. It goes underneath the other building on the other side. So we gotta build a
So
wall.
that's stone under there.
This is just stone.
And foundation.
Stone. We're sitting on piers, so to be able to keep something up, we're going to put down some pressure treated, but we'll do that after we put down some more aluminum
Okay.
to shield it against the outside there.
Okay.
Keep critters coming from
Either side.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Some of the little things that he's having to deal with. Things like this. So it might not look like much, but behind the board, this is to the outside, this is the frame. This is just a hole from the other building that backs up to it. And if there's any mice or anything, they're gonna come right through here. So he has to put some mesh and some spray and insulation there. And then like that, you can see right up in through the roof. So those are the things that he's closing up. Here's the OSB on this wall. We just tacked that up. So this wall is almost finished. And then he'll do that wall. So this is what the building looks like on the outside. It's got a nice sliding door, so that will protect the animals. It's got a piece of wood that we're going to put on the bottom here, so that there's no way that anything can get underneath the door and pull it out, because it is a sliding door. Because of the gutters backing up, it's been leaking into the wall for a long time. So he took all of the gutters off, and we will put them back up. We'll put up new roofing in the springtime or summertime too. It should be fine to last for now. But this is why he has to put the metal all along the bottom on the inside and outside, because critters can get in there and under from the other building. So that's the outside. Okay.
What we're going to do is we're going to use some steel wool. Use the coarse stuff. I'm just going to open it up real good. Get as much fiber as exposed. You want to do this with gloves, and even then you seem to get things through the gloves too. The biggest concern of this here is you have to get it really tight into the area that you want, and it takes a very specialized tool. It's called a stick. We're literally just going to stuff it into the open hole area there. We could put great stuff in there, and some people are able to keep the critters out with that, and they don't like chewing through it. I've had different experiences. Sometimes they will eat into it. Apparently the Loctite Tight Foam, they dislike the formula more, and it seemed to be just as durable, if not a little bit more than the great stuff. And the price point was definitely decent. So I figured I'd give it a try last time, and it seemed to work good. And nothing got through it, and nothing seemed to chew on it, so I was hoping that it might do the same for us again. Really is important to make sure you have some good gloves though, or
because of all those
stick.
Little
because you get
wires.
This is the coarse stuff. It's not the fine ones you're used to scrubbing pans with. The coarse ones, you can get little shavings into your fingers, and they're a pain in the neck to get out. before we put the great stuff in, what was I want to put caulk in because it really gets in there better.
Oh, what are you caulking?
Just to kind of hold it in a little bit.
Oh, so it sort of glues it into place?
Yeah, I just like to be able to double up. It seems to get into the fibers more than the great stuff. That just seems to push it. You can see it's actually kind of oozing into the steel wool itself. I like that. It holds it, gets into the fibers a little bit more, makes it harder that the animal can't pull it out as easy either. This is more for squirrels. Mice are going to get in here. You know, anybody keeps chickens or anything for that matter that's going to have feed in there, they'll tell you that the mice are going to get in it anyway.
So are we worried about like possum and stuff, or
Possums,
just mice
possums,
and rats?
raccoons, things like that, we're going to keep out simply by sealing this up real good with like the metal and the doors, making sure that those critters can't get in as easy. This is more for
Little
mice
ones.
and squirrels. Really should start from the bottom up, but the other thing I would mention is you definitely don't want to do this, you know, a day before you put your chickens in, because this thing's off gases for a while, and it stinks like a daylights, and I would kind of be concerned.
Then especially bunnies, because bunnies are more sensitive than chickens are.
The gap down toward the bottom is quite a bit bigger, so we're actually going to grab the great stuff and stuff.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, you can actually see right through to the other building.
So we're back, and we're going to put a little more of the steel wool in here. We're going to stuff it in the bottom.
That larger hole.
The larger hole, but that one's quite a bit larger, and it actually goes to the outside, in between the two buildings. So that one really needs to be done from the outside. With flashing.
Oh,
But since we're not taking this board and batten off this season, we're going to have to do that next season, so we're kind of doing this to double up.
So, honey, why aren't you doing that this season?
Because I don't have time.
Why not?
Because it's winter.
I was actually more referring, though, to the fact that you've got bunnies coming in like
No, that too.
2 weeks that we didn't anticipate to have.
Yeah, part of that, but at the same time, we want to wait for the perfect weather to do something. You know, we could just get it done. If we wait for perfect weather every time, you're just never going to get it done. You know, we'll put it off. When you could be doing whatever today, get it done.
Don't put off tomorrow what you can get done.
Exactly.
Oh, that looks very nice. I can't see daylight anymore.
So what we're going to do is, we were using the Loctite version earlier, and we're going to use this stuff this time.
Wait, show me one more time.
This is great stuff, Big Gap. In experience, I haven't found that it really makes that big of a difference in the gap, but you don't want to use these on door frames, because if you want to keep anything close to being plumb, don't use this stuff, because you have a door frame that goes like this. Because it does expand and it pushes really hard. The other thing is if I put it right in here,
It might push out.
it may push these boards and batten out, because they're not screwed in. These are Amish made
So they're
with
just nails, not
While they
screws.
do a really good job, because when they put them in, they cross them. I actually had to uncross them before we closed up this wall and push them out a little bit, so that come the spring season, I can get them off.
Oh, that's why you did that. Okay. Or else you would tear apart the boards getting it off next season, right?
And while this would be easier to do without it in here, I'm using it as kind of a catch-all to catch the foam as it's coming up. So
it'll create like a barrier.
This one expands quickly and fast. Do that same thing.
Not for the whole length of the roof, right?
Yeah, actually, just the inside edge though. Because we're going to take this off because this is all yucky. Is my technical term. It's all soft and dry rotted. But we don't want to try to do that this year because, I mean, these board and batten, while they're nice up here, they're all nasty down here. So we're going to cut those, and then we'll be able to move these down, and we'll put a nice board up here. We'll put a pressure treated inside this, and then a nice board that's pressure treated across that. But
oh, I see what you mean.
we don't want these little gaps, like these little corner things, these little critters to be able to get in through just the top halves for the time being, which is no big deal to us. And of course, I just put a piece of steel wool in my finger, and it was really fun.
Oh. You're gonna foam it too?
Yep.
So that gets foamed just to stay in place.
Correct. Yep. And we're gonna use the great stuff in there because it'll foam out onto this baseboard a little more. And it'll make it solid for the season, at least, and keep it from having moisture. And we could have stuffed it with, you know, like regular insulation, but critters really love that. They don't like this stuff as much. I'm not going to leave this exposed the whole season. I'm just going to put something, but it's not going to be real pretty and it's not going to be real practical. It's just to keep the snow from blowing in it. Persuasion. The thing that is irritating is you'll notice this real big gap up here on this here. And it's because this building goes like this. And so nothing is straight. The floor is on a tilt, so I actually had to chisel out part of the. So what I'm going to have to do is I'll actually have to cut a piece of plywood here for this corner of it.
To overlap.
To overlap it. Now there's actually another wall that's going to come out right here. So a little will be excluded.
For the wall behind you.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll exclude a little bit. I may actually go a little bit above and beyond. I may put some wire mesh before I do that, but
because it's too big of a spot for.
It's a perfect spot. If I was a squirrel, I'd like to think that the cozy spot would be at the corner of a heated building.